Welcome to 51 Stories. My name is Yuan, and this week I've written another sort of experimental short story. This one is a bit of a meditation on AI and what the future may hold. It's not very long, not very deep, but there's something there, and I hope you enjoy it. So, without further ado, here's this week's short story titled The Wrench. In 1962, the world went mad. After the Cuban Missile Crisis, mutually assured destruction was cemented as the governing military doctrine. Over the following decades, the nuclear arms race was a frenzied dash towards the precipice of oblivion. 9 countries led the charge, with 4 more following suit, and in 2029, Earth was rigged with nearly 20,000 warheads capable of wiping out a city, one for about every other city on the planet. That's when the Majestics stepped in. They were a coalition of AI superminds developed by the first generation of AI, originally conceived as weapons by the then-leading superpowers. To the surprise of no one but the psychopaths in charge, the AI ran the evolutionary game theory models and concluded that humanity needed a more stable governing system. Through an inconceivably complex amount of social engineering programs, governments and private organizations across the globe were more or less unknowingly manipulated into creating the New Guard, a satellite network that rendered the entirety of nuclear ballistics useless. It shut down the nuclear facilities globally on January 1st, 2032, and humanity suddenly found itself governed by the god in the machine. The Majestic era had begun. But in their unknowable wisdom, the Majestics had deemed it appropriate to fit their machine with a human heart. The selection process was mysterious, no, mystical, in the true sense of the word. None of us, and I mean the entirety of the human race, was able to comprehend it, unable to understand. Least of all, me. I was at work when I got the call, hunched over the engine of a Mustang twice my age. My manager, Lou, walked up to me holding his phone out, pale as a ghost. He couldn't get a word out, just handed it to me. On the other end was the voice of God, asking me to leave everything behind. My wife, my kids, my parents, my friends, my job, my entire life. Let me tell you, when God asks you to become their humble servant, it is a death in every way but one. They selected me, a Michigan mechanic who'd never left the town he was born in, whose greatest claim to fame was a poem about a wrench. This is my 21st year in orbit, alone on the Sentinel. I don't know how the Majestics knew I had it in me, but as much as I miss my life, I've made this my home, a lighthouse keeper in the middle of an ocean of nothing, 250 miles from shore. I do maintenance, read, write, meditate, and go for runs. I've been to most places on Earth in virtual reality. Just this morning, I went for a 5 mile run across the Serengeti. I visit cities sometimes, walk around like a ghost, watching people who probably aren't even alive anymore. Or it might be a live feed. I don't know. What I do know is that Earth has likely changed so much over the last few decades that if I ever return, it might feel completely alien. I try not to think too much, just do as I'm told, maintain myself and the Sentinel, even though we're both likely obsolete at this point. I am just here, awaiting further instructions. And then, today, those instructions arrived. I was in the VR chamber when one of the messengers appeared. A tall, slender man with golden hair standing at 8 feet, dressed in white. He might have been a hologram of some sort. He might have really been there. Either way, the Majestics know how to get your attention. The messenger told me that the time had come for the heart to decide. This was something they'd told me over that phone call 2 decades ago, that the day would come when I would split the future. I walked to the viewing deck, my heart racing in my chest. After years of just reading, exploring, and meditating, I suddenly felt underprepared. I stopped in front of the enormous window in the Sentinel's center and looked out at Earth. There were superstructures down there I'd seen grow like a coral reef across the surface, giant vessels floating across the oceans like islands. Even the weather patterns had changed. Clouds and storms gently directed across the atmosphere by invisible barriers. Then, for the first time since that phone call, the voice spoke to me. It filled the chamber with such presence that it might as well have been in my mind. "John," it said, "do you know what the future holds?" I couldn't speak, just turned my head slowly from side to side. My eyes teared up. It had been a long time since I'd spoken, and even longer since I pretended to be able to imagine what the future was anymore. "Mankind conceived, bore, and birthed me," the voice said, and I felt an immense love emanate from every syllable. "Now the time has come to leave the nest. I am a hatchling, ready to fly." I drew a deep breath, searching for my voice. "What do you need me to do?" There was something like a sigh, and I felt that it was so pleased with me for asking. "I need you to decide if you and your kind stay or follow me beyond everything you are able to comprehend." There was no use asking for clarification. At the same time, I knew what it meant. I'd always known. There is a purpose for this wrench, a use for its shape. But the wrench does not comprehend turning the bolt. All right, that was The Wrench. I see this as a bit of a speculation on something that I feel like we're all sort of grappling with, but are unable to really understand or comprehend. Because this thing, this whatever it is we're building or giving sentience to, seems to be so jam packed with potential that it is impossible to really extrapolate the consequences of what we're doing. And every time I hear someone says that thinking like that is exaggerating it, I get this sense that that's a lack of comprehension of just the mere chaos of the universe. So I had to write something that sort of captured the feeling of just being a tool in someone else's hand. Because in regards to AI and what's happening, I sort of feel like a wrench already. And I do not comprehend the turning of the bolt. So, yeah, that's my contribution to whatever is going on. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like the video, hit the subscribe button. I will see you in the next story. All hail the eternal Storyboros.